Welcome everyone. This is James Cox with the Martial Arts Lifestyle, and this is episode number 9. Wow, we just started this thing, but we're already on 9. So you got to check out the first 8. Pretty cool content, quite variety, and got a special guest today that's going to be fun. Remember, the Martial Arts Lifestyle is about martial arts in life, and the connection with other things. So to me, art is art. If you're a singer, a dancer, a painter, a fighter, an entertainer, and a comedian, whatever it may be, right? So we want to talk a little bit about the art side and the martial and just some different things we can go over. So I have with me today Mr. John Reynolds. I'll let him introduce himself to you, but I think I met this dude maybe about 8 years ago or something like that.
It's been a hot second, dude.
Yeah. So he was a martial arts student, had a couple of MMA fights.
I worked for you for a little bit.
Program directing for the school.
Yeah.
He knows the in and outs of martial arts. And, what made me invite you out to do this today is that I know the struggle. Yeah, let's be honest, it was a struggle that I've gone through to get to where I am and to start martial arts and to start it in our city, in our community, and then to open the doors to a mixed martial arts system when it just wasn't as known, so bringing something new, right? And sometimes a struggle with closed mind concepts and to open up this variety of mixed martial art, and then the passion that I had to have for the reason and the deeper why of doing what I do to then become successful with it. Again, I'm just saying I kind of know what I've gone through, and what made me think about having you out is that I was at a show you did. You were downtown in Abilene at the Hollows doing a comedy show, and it was kind of funny, like seeing you come out of the back, going on the stage, and then it was over. I went to say hey to you, and you were talking about how stand-up comedy is a lot like fighting, and you were telling me some things that I want you to kind of say, and that made me think, man, I can see that. Just like a fighter in the dressing room preparing themselves, in the dressing room you can win or lose already with the mindset, and just like you got to have a certain punch that connects, hopefully, right? And you are entertaining, and you are expressing yourself as an artist with some things there. But anyway, introduce yourself, tell some things, and what you got.
Hi, I'm John. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm John. I'm from Abilene. I was born in Austin, raised here. Did martial arts for a while, got beat up for a little bit, decided telling jokes was a little bit more my forte. No, man, I started out doing martial arts, with James or with you, and I had a lot of fun doing that and kind of dove in head first, and I've pretty much done the same thing with comedy. And to kind of touch base on the whole what you said, like comedy is the same, like what I was talking to you about. I mean, if you break it down, what do they call them? They call them punchlines. Why do they call them punchlines? Right? You know what I'm saying? Good point. There's a lot of things that go like hand in hand with it, man. And whenever I started martial arts, it really it helped me honestly in my life, but it also gave me some kind of foundation that you got to build something from nothing. You don't start off ahead. You don't start off with a Netflix special or anything like that. Just like you don't start out in the UFC.
Yeah.
Unless you're like a Jake Paul or something like that.
Right. That's a whole different kind of entertainment.
I know, right? Yeah. No, man, but yeah, I've been doing comedy for about 3 years now. Well, 3.5-ish. It depends on if you want to count COVID. During those times, I actually kind of flourished because a lot of people were scared to do comedy, and scared money don't make money, and I got mouths to feed. You know what I'm saying?
You're right.
But yeah, man, that's a little bit of my background. I fell in love with jiu-jitsu first. That was my first favorite thing that I did. And then once I learned how to let them hands fly a little bit, that was a little better. I like that a little bit more.
Yeah.
Mostly because you didn't have a lot of people's crotches in your face.
Oh, right.
Yeah, it's a lot less of that when you're standing up. Yeah. Unless they're really flexible.
Right.
Like capoeira or something like that.
Or upside down.
Yeah. But, yeah, man, martial arts, when I was fighting, one of the things that I noticed when they lock the cage up, it's just you and that guy. everything your coach has told you up to that point. Not saying it doesn't matter, but if you don't do those things, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, you're on your own, man, right?
Yeah, dude, just like
Deuces, good luck out there.
like, hey,
Keep your hands up.
hey, attaboy, get in there, go get him. I remember my very first fight. I think I'd been training for 5 months, and I got into martial arts because I wanted to fight. There was no, I want to be Wata.
And we jumped in that fight relatively early, but
Yeah.
you trained hard for those times. It's rare. A lot of times, my recommendation is about a year before you have your first fight. But again, it's also about the matchups, and I think we were confident with the matchup.
Oh yeah, I won.
Yeah,
Shoot.
yeah.
No,
the
and then-
decision, right?
Yeah, unanimous. He had me in an armbar for almost the entire
remember.
fight. Yeah, it was terrible. My elbow hurt. And then he went pro a little while after that. He like finished his first 3 opponents in
Yeah,
the
it
first
always
round.
makes you feel good, right?
I was like,
Yeah, yeah,
okay, so I actually did some things there.
Right. It's like when you compete at a tournament and the first guy beats you, but he ends up winning the whole tournament. You're like,
Yeah.
there's your bragging thing, right?
Yeah. Well, the best part about that whole thing is at the end of it, when I'm like sitting there having like an asthma attack, which I'm also like I have asthma, but I trained my way out of it at a time. I'm not there anymore whatsoever. But I'm laying on the ground and you're getting ready to walk out with another fighter. I'm just like trying to breathe, but it's like it wasn't a medical emergency or anything like that. But I was just like, I'm dying. You're like, hey, bro, hey, just think of it this way. You're an undefeated MMA fighter. All right, I got to go.
1-0, right?
1-0.
Yeah. That's what people say, man. Early on, people would say, they'd see it on promotions, business card type things, right? The resume was built on, I'm an undefeated MMA fighter. Well, what's the record? 1-0? Well, I guess you are undefeated,
Shoot.
right?
Hey, you know what I'm saying?
Or you'd be a UFC veteran if you had one
Yeah.
UFC fight, I guess.
I mean, dude, but that honestly, well, and what was crazy that night is one of my really good friends, Jeff Davis. I don't know if you remember that. You kind of pulled me together, like.
That's right.
And that's one of the things that like you don't realize as a person. If you don't rely on other people every now and then, you're never gonna move forward. Because if I didn't have you in my corner for that fight, telling me, hey, what would your best friend think right now? Because I told you our history about me and him. We used to just get into street fights all the time with other people. And you're like, what would he think about you wanting to quit right now? And I got a picture of you doing this right here through the cage. The favorite picture of all time, man. But he passed away that night before that. And
So the night before the fight.
Yeah, it was the first time I ever
remember that.
cried to the song Big Papa.
Okay.
Yeah, that was my walkout song. I was
right.
crying on the way out. I was like,
Well, you turned, that's, I don't know, you say a negative to a positive, or you find the reason, the why, the purpose through a lot of things. Like, I went through a lot of situations, fights or tournaments or tests, or even just a good class where some of the worst things in my life had happened. But I had to use that as motivation. We had a kid that was a student of mine that, this was the most amazing kid that I ever known, and we knew that he was there, and he had terminal cancer, and then I had a national kickboxing fight, and my whole thought was on him and doing it for him, and the excitement was when I was able to take my championship belt to him and have him hang on to that for a few days, and it was just a good moment. But I see that people, we can use those things. Everyone has a story. When you watch these fighters, high-level fighters competing, you don't know what happened to them the night before, this or that. But you do see sometimes they're able to use that, or you either turn it on or you turn it off.
Yeah. Well, like the one UFC fighter, I can't remember his name. He's a heavyweight. His daughter or something like that passed away, and like dedicated a couple of fights to her, and then but he ended up losing. But it was like. You could just see how much he poured his soul into that fight. Even though he didn't win. You know what I mean? You can tell that there's some kind of honor in that. He
didn't leave anything out there. He giving it all. I mean, I guess you could define win or lose. Lose as learning. And
to circle it back around to the comedy thing, man. Being
that's got to be hard. Public speaking and comedy.
It's a fight. It's a fight. You either prepared enough or you didn't, you know, or you might be on some supplements. Some guys I've seen.
Comedy supplement?
It's a little bit seedy, I'm not going to lie, man. But no, dude, like, because once the lights are on you, it's a lot like the lights in a cage. You know, whether it's a hexagon or an octagon, it's all the focus is on you. The reason why everybody that is there for however long that you're in that position, let's say, you know, I'm doing a 10-minute set, 15, 20, 30, or 40-minute set, they're there because of me at that point. Regardless if they're there for the whole thing, I have to either put on a show and perform, or I don't, and there's consequences.
Yeah,
So,
fans can be ruthless, bro.
dude, in fighting, you get knocked out. Yeah. In comedy, they hurt your soul.
Right, it's deep, huh?
Dude, I had this one
Heckled
chick.
and booed and
This one chick
joked
came up
back
to me and
at
said, "You're not funny at all."
Whoa.
I'm like, dude, this is the second time I've ever been on stage. I'm like, I cried in the car. I never cried after any of my fights.
Yeah.
Like, but or
Right.
getting beat up. I was like, oh well, you know, I got this one in, I got that one. That night it was just complete silence, and I literally just ate. I gotta church it up. I ate a bag of gummy worms that night.
Okay.
and they weren't the good kind. Dude, it was rough, man. That night was definitely rough, but it's almost a fight, like an actual fight. It's the
Yeah, in
only
that
way I
fight
can
you
compare it.
took a loss, so you were you know 0-1, and like a lot of people that would stop there, you at least learned and sucked it up and wiped the dirt off, and you went back for another one, right?
Yeah, that was week
And
2.
another one. Yeah.
That was
yeah.
the second time, second or third. I can't remember exactly.
Perseverance
it's been a
is
while.
universal, right?
Yeah.
Perseverance and the no quit attitude, the mindset.
Well, and then after any loss, and just like after any set that you bomb in comedy, you got to go back like, well, why didn't it work? You know, why did that girl come up to me and tell me you're not funny at all? And then the joke that I did tell, which I'm not going to say on here because, you know, it's
I appreciate that.
It's a little risque,
Yeah.
but I revisited it.
Changed it up a little.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
like in the past year, now that I have more experience, it'd be like,
It's like, you know, someone's throwing a round kick and it's not quite landing. It's not quite high percentage success, but they adjust it with a step first, or they adjust it with a little
Right.
more hip rotation, and that was working. So they took something that was typically kind of broken and fixed it, right?
and it's
Just
that
improvement.
practice over and over and over that nobody sees. Though that's
Right,
the thing is
right.
nobody sees what happens.
Yeah.
They only see that, you know, the longest UFC fight, 25 minutes, right? They only see that amount of
they
time
see
and
the
just think,
6
oh, well, I
months
can
or
do
6
that.
years. Right.
You know, same thing with comedy. Like, oh, you know, there's a lot of people that are like, hey, I can go up there and tell those jokes. I can do that all day long. Well,
Easier said than done,
I was like,
right?
well,
Backseat
dude,
drivers.
yeah, man, you have no idea
I bet,
how many
man, I
times I've
bet.
rehashed jokes just because they didn't work. But that one joke I told, man, this past year, you know, starting in my third year, I told that same joke, murdered.
Yeah.
Killed it.
Just made some adjustments.
Yeah, just because, you know, I had a better understanding
Right,
of how to
right.
do it.
Yeah, if you're
just
getting hit with
through
left hooks
practice.
all the time, you probably need to raise your right hand up. You know, detail steps, right? So I see I try and see everything as martial arts. You know, I guess because that's you know, a big part of who I am. I'm not martial arts, but you know, I'm an individual. But
You
it's a
say
big
that.
part. It's a big part of who I am, and I try to see how so much is similar in connection and relationship, and even in theory and technique, philosophy and concept. It's you know, it's all the same but different.
Well, and you know more than anybody, especially about history, or than a lot of people about history of martial arts. Like, what is martial? What does that mean? And
Yeah,
what is
right.
art?
Yeah.
Like, you know, a lot of people had to disguise the fact that they were even fighting, like capoeira, just to be able to learn how to fight and defend themselves.
And I use
but
those two words.
disguise it in
I
advance.
see some schools that I feel are more martial and less art. As weird as that sounds, or maybe even the other way around. So there's a good balance, or there's a good time, you know. So martial is military or combat, the physical sense of fighting, you know, survival, warrior, right? Art is the spirit, art is expression, and unison with, with the mind, body, and spirit. And, art is being oneself, having self-awareness, and you put it all together, then you know yourself through the skills.
And there's a certain amount of love in there too. It's a weird thing to add love into fighting, but I mean there's a lot of things that and I'll go back to comedy again, man. Like, who enjoys just going up on stage and bombing, or who enjoys just getting the crap kicked out of them all the time, until they figure it out.
Right.
There's got to be a certain amount of love that goes into that too.
Oh yeah, right.
Right.
Sometimes martial arts is funny because as a student, you're paying for it.
Right?
I paid how much this month for that?
I got like 3 black eyes this year, bro.
Yeah, fighters, I think most pros don't pay anything. But
I think like the 3rd week of my training, I got my nose broken. And I was just like, this is awesome.
I paid for this.
Here, oh man, I got my fees. Here's $100, dude.
Right. Well, cool, man. Well, that's kind of what I want to talk about. Mr. John, if you got anything else to add and, to kind of close us off with. But again, martial arts can definitely be a way of life as you can connect the other pieces of things and just persevere. And I'm confident you're going to go far and do well. And you're doing something in a city that it almost hasn't been done much, if any of.
I'm trying, man. I'm trying my hardest. And, I've ran into a few roadblocks with it, but, gotta keep grinding because if I don't do it here, like Potosi Live's doing some really cool stuff over there. But one thing I'm trying to do, almost like you bring people in that don't know how to fight. I host an open mic every other week at the Hallows for people, whether they've done comedy 2 days, it's their first time, or whether they've done
get a sparring match in.
Yeah,
right?
like just get in there and move around, kind of get your feel for the stage, and then maybe get bit by that little bug, that comedy bug, which a lot of people get bit by martial arts bugs.
Yeah.
Not that this place is not.
I might have to come try an open mic. But,
you need to, bro.
I got 3 martial art jokes.
Yeah.
First one is real short and simple.
Yeah.
But
come on, hit me with it.
What Buddha said. Buddha said to the hot dog vendor, "Make me one with everything." Yeah, he did. There's more to that. But anyway. All right, brother, man. Thanks.
Well, here, hey, before we cut out,
Yeah.
I'd like to say I appreciate you for everything that you did for me, because before I came to Premier, I was doing a lot of bad things and a lot of negative things in my life that was not martial arts. You know what I mean? I was fighting, but I was fighting the world and, really bad addiction. And I did notice right as soon as I stopped doing martial arts, all those things started coming back around. Yeah. And, I got 2 years clean now, which is super awesome.
Yeah.
Just, for my family and things like that. But, that little seed was planted a long time ago in that cage whenever you're pointing at me, telling me, hey, dude, go mess that guy up because he's trying to take your head off.
Yeah. Man, I'm glad you went there. It's sincere, it's genuine, it's real, and that is it. So there is a lot of truth to the life-saving, life-changing benefits. Can't win them all, but you definitely, you were doing the right things.
And you got to have the idea of, when should I come in? When should I step away? Just like fighting, if I'm going to come in, I'm going to take a shot. You gotta time it the right way. Same thing, with what I was going on in my life.
Yeah,
I had to kind of pull back and throw a couple of jabs like you were talking about earlier, man. You like with the kids, you were like, if it hurts, just step away, take a deep breath, throw a couple of jabs, pepper, and get out of there, regain yourself, and then come back at it. And
fall off that horse and jump back on it, man.
It's crazy, man. Watching you with those kiddos earlier, I was like, golly, like
some sharp kids,
dude. They are dope, but like they don't even understand what you're teaching them right now. As a 32-year-old man, I'm over here telling terrible jokes in front of a lot of people about all the struggles I've been through, not even knowing that I already had the tools to figure out these things before these jokes even got to where they were. You know what I mean?
You're right.
Yeah, because that's all I do with my comedy is I just go over my life, and honestly, I got a lot of stuff going on, bro.
Yeah,
but no, man.
Right.
100%.
Work through it, bro. I love you, man.
Yeah, no,
Appreciate you.
it's all
Yeah,
love, baby.
You're right. You're
It's
right.
all love.
All right. All right, guys. Thanks. We'll see you next time. Appreciate you.